Thank God it's Friday, I kept telling myself over and over like a mantra as I drove to work. Not that the day of the week had any damn thing to do with my problems, or that said problems would magically disappear over the weekend. In light of what actually happened, of course, that particular notion is fucking hilarious. But the nightmares awaiting me were still in the future as I pulled into the bumper-to-bumper traffic on Brockland Drive, heading towards downtown Stark. After a week of horrible dreams, I'd awoken sick, exhausted, and prone to strange hallucinations. I should have stayed home, but some idiotic sense of duty drove me onward, even though I felt like I was dying. By this point, I was fairly convinced that something very odd was happening not only around me, but to me as well. Even my poor girlfriend Joan had been afflicted. It started when I passed out on New Year's Eve, and now I was heading toward the big finale. As soon as I walked into the bathroom, things really started to go haywire. My nightmares had never followed me into my waking life before, but now they had. A decaying skeleton waving at me in the mirror, blood spraying from the shower nozzle, and eyeballs swirling in the gore around the drain. Seriously sick shit. I freaked out, and Joan came to my rescue. It was a sobering moment, and something sad and unspoken passed between us. As sick as I felt, Joan was feeling even worse. An early period, coupled with hellacious cramps and my illness, had compelled her to spend the weekend at her folks' house, which was definitely for the best. As for me, I suppose I had an idea that whatever was going on was central to our apartment, that our place was haunted, not our very lives. Wrong again, Myers. But all thoughts of monsters, hauntings, and death were hiding in the back of my mind as my little blue Celica puttered along in a parade of taillights and exhaust clouds. My eyes felt gritty, my throat hurt, and my whole body ached, but at least I was moving. I'd forced down a couple slices of toast for breakfast, then popped some ibuprofen and vitamins, washing it all down with coffee. I still felt like shit, though, especially as I watched Joan begin to pack. Normally on my way to work, I soothed myself with some easy listening. A little Air Supply, maybe Celine Dion. But this morning I hadn't had the energy to dig through my CDs, so I just turned on the radio. I always kept the dial on KSTK-FM, but this morning, because death itself was still toying with me, it was on something totally and appropriately different. Unidentified at 12:30 this morning in Bartholomew Park, a deep, scratchy voice said. I stiffened as the words leapt out from the speakers. It was Stark City's very own conservative blowhard, Hal Beecham. I never listened to the nutcase, of course, but the mention of Bart Park made my blood run cold. So far, the cops haven't released much information, except to say it looks like a drug deal gone horribly wrong. Now, this isn't the first instance of violence in Stark City, nor will it be the last, but it's the latest and one of the most tragic I've ever seen. I'd like to spend this next half hour discussing the tough issues that are presented here. Be warned, listeners, that this is an upsetting topic, and I'm not going to pull any punches about what I think. I'll also be taking some calls. I really want to hear what you think about the current state of affairs regarding this plague of crime around us. As always, thank you for turning into Real Talk, AM 1050. Be right back after these words from our sponsors. The inane commercials came, and I ignored them. A frown had crawled over my face and died, leaving me with a very sour expression. A dirty camouflaged Jeep swerved in front of me, forcing me to tap my brakes. Asshole, I thought, staring at its bumper stickers. Semper Fi on the left. Kill 'em all, let God sort 'em out on the right. Bark Park, I muttered. That's crazy. Except it wasn't. Bark Park used to be a nice place to hang out, but now it's filled with bums and winos and drug dealers. The cops sweep through occasionally, but the bad elements always return. Like cockroaches. I wouldn't be caught dead there at night. Rapes, muggings, and overdoses were a fairly common occurrence. But never murder, at least not that I could remember. The commercials ended and Real Talk returned with its chirpy theme song. I held my tired eyes steady on the Jeep's slow-moving bumper, tightening my grip on the wheel. As soon as I heard Beecham's voice, I swear my temperature ratcheted up another notch. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Hal Beecham, and this is Real Talk, the only show that tells it like it is. So, here's what we got. 3 dead people and an alleged drug deal gone bad. Police haven't released any names, but the official statement says that all 3 died of stab wounds. The investigators described the scene as very disorganized and very gruesome. And all of this right downtown in Bartholomew Park, just a few blocks south of Stark City Mall. Beecham allowed a moment of silence to drift out over the airwaves, then sighed. What the hell is happening around here, people? Can't we go to work and live our lives without facing the issues around us? Go take a walk down Stark Boulevard and tell me how many vagrants you see asking for spare change, or how many drug deals you see going on in broad daylight. How can we stand for this in our community? The cops go right on by like it's nothing, because it is nothing when it's on every street corner. And what about these guys in orange uniforms, the so-called downtown ambassadors? What the hell do they do anyway? Does anybody know what those guys are? My point is, there are plenty of people wearing uniforms around downtown and nobody's doing a damn thing about all the crackheads, junkies, prostitutes, and schizos. Much as I hate to admit it, I found myself nodding in agreement. I knew what Beecham meant. It had gotten to the point where I couldn't walk 10 feet from my office building without some poor bastard begging for money. Every once in a while, I'd give one of them $1 just so he'd go away. Most of them seemed pathetic, but some were downright scary, raving lunatics, screaming at the things that weren't there. Of course, nowadays I know exactly how that feels. Back then I was just like any average citizen. I was concerned. I thought that somebody should get involved, but assumed, like everyone else, that the cops had a handle on the situation. Beecham, however, didn't share my optimism. I say it's time for us Starkers to stand up and fight for our community. Let's send them a message that we won't stand for this garbage anymore. Let's send a message that we want something done. Let's quit getting sidetracked on freeway extensions and landmark renovations until we got all the druggies off the street. Let's get serious and knuckle down on crime until it's safe to stroll through Bartholomew Park at any time of day or night. It has gotten really bad, I muttered to myself, still staring at the camouflaged Jeep. Traffic rolled along at its slow but steady pace, and downtown Stark, still not in sight, may as well have been in the land of Oz. Semper Fi. Kill 'em all. Let God sort 'em out. I tell you what I'm going to do, and what I'd like all of you listening to do. Go, right now, turn on your computers, pick up your pens, and grab your phones. Let's start a full-scale campaign of emails, letters, and phone calls to our leaders. Let's remind them that we put them in office. We pay their salaries. And let's tell them that we want our streets cleaned up by the end of this year. It's only January, folks. Let's have a drug-free downtown by Christmas. What do you think? Can we do it? Sure we can. Let's get the word out to our city council, to that louse of a mayor, to the governor, whatever it takes. And let's not stand for any more of this BS about the budget. Let's make them hire more cops, buy more squad cars, whatever they have to do. Just get the job done. Because I, for one, have had it. Well, quite a speech, eh? I gaped at the radio in disbelief. Beecham's shtick was to go off on rants, but I didn't think he'd ever gone off like that before. I found his intensity unnerving, almost frightening. Beecham sounded like a savage with a microphone. Surely, I thought, there was no need for all of that. Not then, anyway. Okay, listeners, now that I've gotten that out of my system, I'd like to take a few calls. I want to hear what's on your minds this fine Stark City morning. Hear what you have to say about this That's when I shut him off. I felt a serious headache coming on, and I didn't need Beecham's voice to agitate the pain. And, I told myself, I had more important things to worry about than the senseless violence of the world. Semper Fi. Kill 'em all. Let God sort 'em out. How's that for irony?